I am warm and tingly. My fanny is fluttering right now because this is the show that everyone seems to be obsessing over right now. Welcome back to From Mrs. to Ms. I'm your host, Andrea. I've got my girl, Ozzy, here with me today. Hey, Ozzy. How are you?
Hey, good. How are you?
I am good. I am excited. I am warm and tingly. My fanny is fluttering right now because
Fanny.
I
You
got
don't
some
want to know
fanny
why my
flutters
fanny
going
is fluttering right now.
on. Do I or don't I? I'm not sure. Nope. I'm excited because we're talking about a show today that you turned me on to because you called me,
Literally turned you on.
literally turned me on. You called me when you were breaking out in sweats over watching this show. You're like, hubba, hubba. What?
Woo!
You were fanning yourself. And this is the show that everyone seems to be obsessing over right now. It is called
Mhm.
Off Campus. It is currently number one as we're recording this, currently number one on Amazon Prime. I have binge watched it. I did enjoy it very much, more than I thought I would. And we can get to that because I don't think I loved episode one until right in the end. It
Mhm.
caught me. So I want to talk about that. And yes, while there are so many steamy scenes in this, that is not totally what caught the attention for me. For me, it was how we're managing these conversations that are being had. It sparked a lot of conversations about sex, about consent, about trauma, the
Mhm.
relationship between the main character and his dad, right? That was
Mhm.
huge. Dating, friendship, and, just how we're navigating through that. And yes, this is more of a college show because they're in college, but there were so many lessons to be had in there. So,
Mhm.
we're not here to recap the show today for anybody that's hoping we were going to do that. We're not doing that. So, are you
Yep.
ready to dive into this?
I'm ready. And I want to start by
Mm,
saying
mm,
that this is actually an adaptation of a book
a
series.
book, yeah.
So, it already had a very big following. And I did not read the book series, but my
Me neither.
friends have read it and said that this is one of the first adaptation that they've seen from book to screen that
Yeah.
actually is somewhat true to the characters. And she really
Hmm.
appreciated that because most adaptations end up really destroying the book
Yeah.
and leaving you kind of confused for those who are fans of the author.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
good job, whoever wrote the screenplay. Good job.
Yeah, thanks for adding that because I totally forgot that it was actually a book series. So
Yeah.
that's exciting. I have not read the books either, and I wonder how aligned they were. If they were, you're saying it did adapt over very well.
Yeah,
Um,
and every season is going to be, I guess, one book, and then and each will follow. Just so everyone's aware, it's going to follow the different characters. So I think every season, for those who know about the storyline, it sets up the next main characters for next
yes,
season. So we already kind
yes,
of know who the next we're invested in their storyline, which is really great.
yes. Okay, and we'll touch base on that here shortly. So, I just want to talk about why do you think that this show has just been such a phenomenon out of nowhere? I didn't even know about it or anything, and then you reached out to me and you're like, "Oh my god, have you watched, have you seen this dirty little show called Off Campus?" And I'm like, I love dirty little shows. So I had to go check it out. Why do you think that do you think that's why? Because it's got these great looking guys and there's a lot of steamy sex scenes or is it something deeper?
Yes, 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 yes. I think it's all the above. I think it's it already had a following, so people were anticipating this if you read the if
Hmm.
you read the series, and then B, everyone in there is really really yummy to look at. And
Yeah.
so eye candy, right? But
Mhm.
also the storyline feels relevant. It feels current. It feels
Mhm.
relatable and it feels connected. And so, the chemistry between the characters I thought were pretty good. So I think you connect with that too. When I see a rom-com or I see any movie or series, what I
Mhm.
get drawn to is the chemistry. Like
Mm.
I want to feel something when I'm watching it.
Yes.
Whether feel
Yeah.
something down there or feel something in my heart, I
You wanna
want to
feel
feel.
it.
Yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. So that's how I quantify something that's, good watch, good Netflix
Yes.
and chill night.
That's so true.
Yeah.
So I think that, a lot of this, it felt there was a lot of casual sex throughout
Mhm.
the entire season, right? There's a lot of casual sex. And then, of course, there's more. And I should probably say the spoiler alert, we are going to talk about the whole season. So from soup to nuts. So if, if you're not ready to hear this, pause right here and go watch, but you better come back because we've got some really good stuff to say about it. But my question was asking about if sex has become more casual or are we just talking about it more? Is sex that casual? I mean, these guys were like, oh, they're together. Oh, they're together. I mean, the first episode started out with the main character, Garrett, like
Mhm.
just hooking up with the girl, right? Like that was obviously a casual fling for him because he wasn't really into her.
Yeah.
Is
I
that
mean,
happening?
From what I hear, obviously I'm not in that culture, but yeah, I think this new generation is very casual and some of them don't even have sexual intercourse,
Yeah.
but for those that do, it is very casual. It's less about, getting into a relationship. It's more about, hookup culture.
Yeah.
I don't think they call each other boyfriend and girlfriend for a while. They're dating, they're kind of getting to know each other while getting to know each
Mm
other, getting to know other people as well.
hmm.
So I think, it's probably more jarring to us because we're used to coming from a generation that invested time in relationships right up
Yeah.
front to
Yes.
now this hookup culture. Like, let's get together with whomever. And my mind is always like, I hope they're safe.
Ugh. I know, and I was wondering, is this the first generation that's really this free about it, the sex positive? I think it
I don't
feels
know.
like we're in this space. I'm trying to think what other shows were out there. I know they recently had that Heated Rivalry, which I have not watched.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
have you watched that?
Yes.
Oh,
I
yeah.
resisted it for a while, and then when I started watching, I was like, "Okay, I
Ooh,
know why they're." Yep, yep. Oh yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
So it seems like a trend right now, which I can
Yeah.
only assume more is
Very
gonna be coming,
steamy.
right? Because they're like, "Oh, everybody is latching on to this," right?
Listen,
S
you take hockey, you take sexy men, you know.
That's both
Just saying.
shows.
I'm just
Both
saying. It's like the
Yeah.
hockey is the new rock and roll, Like back in the
Yes.
day, it was like a rock and roll thing, and now it's hockey, like a sport show plus
Yeah.
a good steamy,
That's
sexy.
wild, isn't it? I never thought of hockey like that, I guess, is like this
Oh,
sexy
but
sport.
think about hockey, right? It's
Mm.
so physical and
Mhm.
it goes by so quickly and you're so, it is. Like I've always found hockey to be fascinating and sexy because,
Yeah.
you know, yeah,
Yeah.
men
Yeah.
chucking at each other and yeah, yeah.
Yeah, just all of that. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
give me
gotcha.
hockey any day. Hockey
Yes.
is one of the sports that I grew up watching, hockey and basketball.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I should have hockey, I'm from Canada, but I didn't. But yeah,
Oh,
football
yeah.
and baseball are my things. I know, you would think. Yeah. So, I don't know. Yeah, so I guess that's why there's such a hype about it. Everybody is just it's like taboo, right? And everybody is doing like with their eyes half closed, but you want to watch. I mean, we're going to get to, I hope we're going to talk about the subject of the mutual masturbation. That just totally that floored me. Not going to lie, I was like, oh, we're doing this. We're going. Okay, here we go.
Yeah, that was
you
a
know,
that
and so,
But, what's interesting is, like, even that storyline, right?
Yeah.
Like, let's talk about that, set that up of, like, that arrangement that they had was so fascinating to me. I found it to be
Yes.
so not of
It
I would
felt
imagine
adult.
not of this like, it's kind of, like, very different.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and so anyway,
Yeah.
and
I
what
wanna touch
and
on
for
that a
those
little bit more.
yeah, so for those who don't know what I'm talking about, let's talk about their arrangement. Well, let's talk about
Okay.
the show anyway, like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
let's set up the characters.
Okay. Okay. So we basically we have Hannah, who they I think her name was Hannah Wells, right? So they call
Mhm,
her Wellesley pretty much throughout the whole show. And then we have Garrett Graham, who is his family was wealthy. His dad was this famous hockey player. So he comes from money, very different lifestyle than Hannah, who is struggling. She has a scholarship and she is at risk of losing that scholarship. And so she's taking on all these extra jobs and doing these extra things in order to make money. So
mhm.
two very polarizing situations here, right? Where they're
Yep.
they're both going to through they're both going through totally different things and just trying to get through it, right?
Mhm.
So then, and in the first episode, and I think why it didn't really like hook me, it just felt like it had already been done before. She's the
Right.
the very innocent, book smart, girl that's just doing her little job and she's picking up things at
Coffee
in the
shop?
hockey in the locker room and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
then
that's
there's
right, the locker room.
right at the beginning. Yeah, and then there's hot Garrett who's in there showering, and right off the bat, when they showed his ass, I'm like, "Oh,
Damn.
oh yeah, we're going." Okay.
How did
And
that not hook you?
I know, and
Woo!
he looked at that, and then it was just kind of this little thing between them, right? Like, I think he saw her as maybe a cute little sister or something, like, right off the bat, and she kinda saw him as this wow guy, but that's not the guy that she was actually into. Okay, he's really
So she
cute
was
too.
yeah, she was
Yeah.
into a different guy, yeah.
Yeah, and he's the lead singer for a band, and she was really into
Mhm.
him. Anyway, she is really into this cute guy, so they come up with an arrangement. So Garrett is like, "I'm going to help you get this guy, but you need to help tutor me." It felt very Can't Buy Me Love. Remember that?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
what do you think his draw to her was? I'm curious what your thoughts were. Like, what do you think attract like cuz he was very drawn to her very
Mhm.
early
Quickly.
on. Yeah.
Quickly. I think he saw that she got the A plus on her test, right? So that was just, I think, the first thing that he was like, okay, she's smart, somebody I could totally have help me. And then I think that when he saw her in the locker room, I think he just saw a little different side of her, something that he hadn't already been with, or
Right.
the girl that he was with right off the bat in the beginning of the show was very typical of what
Mhm.
you'd see him to be with, right? She was
Yep.
attractive and she had no shame. I mean, they showed her boobies right off the bat, right? Like, she had no shame in herself. We never saw Hannah do that actually through the entire thing, although they're very big boobies. I was
She
like,
does have
oh,
big knockers.
big
She
boobs.
does have big
Yes.
boobies.
I was like, "Oh, okay." It was uncharted territory that turned
And
him on.
also, I think she played hard to get. So I think
Mm,
because she wasn't so easily available, he
yeah.
was drawn to that because he experienced getting girls so easily. With her, it wasn't that easy because she wasn't interested in him at first. She was interested in the musician.
Yes.
So I think that
Yes.
like cat mouse game was
That's right.
very attractive to him. And I would
Yeah.
imagine for most men, it's to have that chase, to have that, like, ability to kinda go after something was,
Mhm.
um, was fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. So then at that point, just so you fully understand the story, they went for a couple episodes of them trying to get her with the musician guy, but you could see the way he was looking at her, the things she was saying that was evoking some kind of different emotion from him, and I think
Mhm.
he liked that. I think there was a lot more depth to him than he was ever putting out there, and so I
Yep.
think that brought it out. And then I think for her as well, she was kind of seeing him, oh, he's not just a dumb jock, like, he
Mhm.
actually has personality, and he has, like, a history, and he's
He's
not just
smart.
this rich
Mhm.
guy, and he's smart, yeah. And then we came into the scene where she was going to have sex with this musician guy, or she was assuming she was. We don't know that she actually was, but he was inviting her over and she was preparing herself. And that episode opened up a lot about her. a sexual encounter. So it gave dynamic and depth to
Mhm.
what we were looking at and why she was feeling the way she was. And so she was looking at Garrett to help her have her first orgasm. She had said, I can have many orgasms with a vibrator, but not with
Now
a
with a man.
man. It was this fear, and it kept taking her back to that sexual assault.
Mhm.
Did you think that was, or like, what did you think about all of that and her asking him to basically help her? Is that something you would ever have done? Any
With a friend, no.
No.
I mean, I think that was hard for me to kind of believe because but again, it
Mhm,
could have spoken to the times, it could have spoken to their age, but I don't
mhm.
think I would have asked any of my guy friends because my guy friends are in a very, very specific category in my brain. They're
Yeah.
in the friend zone. If I step over to intimacy with them, then they're no longer in the friend zone, so it just didn't make much sense. Obviously, I think there was parts of her that were curious about him and that
Mhm.
she liked him, and I think she didn't come to terms with it because she was so hyper focused on getting this musician guy.
Mm.
But she was drawn to Garrett, right? Like, you could
Oh, yeah.
feel that there was, like, this sexual
Yes,
tension
we
between
were.
them, right? Yes,
Oh,
yes, we
yeah.
did. Yeah.
Yes, cutie
By the way, you're
patootie.
making me think couple things. 1, you're making me think I need to rewatch it. So, great.
Yeah.
I'm gonna rewatch it. 2, I didn't
What?
tell you this.
What?
Garrett looks like one of my clients. It was very hard for me to see Garrett this way. Still
No.
uncomfortable.
That's awesome. I love that. Okay, so then we'll catch them up at that point. They decided to do what we like to call mutual masturbation, and, I had not seen that on TV before. I'll tell you that. I don't think I'd seen
Mm,
that before. Yeah, and the 2 of them, so they both stood on, 6 feet apart and basically just started touching themselves while looking at each other and just letting themselves go and go into it. And she was fortunately able to have her orgasm that way. I thought it was very
mhm,
tastefully done. I
mhm,
thought it was going to be more awkward than it was. I found myself like, what? Like I couldn't stop watching,
mhm,
right? So that was exciting. I think that he handled it very well and
mhm.
probably where that really clinched their relationship because they both saw different
Intimacy.
sides of each other. Yeah, the intimacy and the way it was handled in such a tasteful, sensitive way, and he was
Mhm,
very protective of her, I'd say, and just
mhm.
making sure that how this all transpired was not gonna be traumatic for her again, and I
Right.
loved that. That was
Love that.
hot.
Orgasm is the highest form of intimacy because it asks us to let go.
Yeah.
And when we don't let go and we hang on to things, we're compressed and we can't have an orgasm. But when we can surrender and we can let go, that requires a few things to happen, right? One
Mhm.
of which is vulnerability, is the ability to be completely vulnerable, to be seen as you are, and permission to be met somewhere where you aren't judged, where you are free to just be. And it
Mhm.
is considered a very spiritual experience. And when everything lines up, it could
Mhm.
really be a beautiful meditation. And it requires a sense of trust
Mhm.
and it requires a sense of safety. And oftentimes people can't even get there,
Yeah.
right? And
Yes.
so, we often kind of jump into bed with someone and have intimacy,
Mhm.
but not until we can start to build, right? And I teach my kids this: trust is earned. Trust is
Yeah,
not just given, right? So as
for
you're
sure.
earning trust, as you're building again, and we talked about in our conversation earlier today, just you and I, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
When you build trust and you have enough, and not through words, it's through showing each other that being vulnerable is safe.
Yeah.
Like you could be vulnerable with me, and I could be vulnerable with you. Now I have the space and the freedom to surrender and
Yeah.
to show you my fullest self. That's not a common or easy place to be for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Which is why people hold back or people have, quick orgasms or they don't really get to that, like, high ecstasy part of
Mhm.
an orgasm,
Yeah.
and, yeah, I mean, I love that it's being shown. I love that
Yeah.
it's not the reality. They didn't really
Mhm.
know each other, but I think through time spent, right? And that's what it takes. Time spent, quality time spent with one another starts to build that safety and that trust and that connection enough to get to that
Mhm.
intimacy.
Yeah. Well said. Yes, I agree. So that was a hot scene.
That was a hot
And
scene.
that was a hot scene, and from there, they just kind of realized that they wanted to be together, and so they did, they got together, and I
Mhm,
love that because he settled down, he was kinda known as the player, and he's never had a girlfriend and never gonna do that, and I love that they had that, we can talk about that too, kinda built that friendship first, and then it
mhm,
turned into that, right? And I love the fact that they were completely different on the
mhm.
surface, but realized how much, compatible and aligned they were underneath. So that was very exciting. And then to add that Garrett also had some trauma in his life because he
Correct.
was, yeah, his dad, who everybody thought was this, incredible person and everybody looked up to. Garrett had this deep secret that his dad was abusive to women.
Mhm,
So, and he witnessed it when he was younger. They weaved in a lot, I'd say, in there.
mhm.
Um, and it took us in many different directions, but I enjoyed their relationship that, like, stood the test of time through all of that
Yeah.
they went through. Yeah, and I love
They've
that.
all yeah, they've all experienced, trauma in their past that sort of broke their character and their identity.
Mhm,
And I
mhm,
think that, like, they sort of met each other probably through that, but then realized that there was something more there for one another. And I think that that in itself can build a bit of closeness and bond.
mhm.
And
Yeah,
and and I think then again that evolved into something where they kind of become, each other's protectors or each other's, like, almost like best friends that come together that really get each other. They
mm,
really have, compassion and protectiveness for their old selves that experience
mhm.
that trauma, right? Because the
Yeah.
dad was, it was hard to see because it's, by the way, it's the guy. I don't know if you recognize who he was.
No.
He played. He was on. Oh my god, I'm gonna blank out on this. Oh man, what's the show? Um, Shameless. He was on Shameless,
Okay,
and
okay.
he
Oh,
played the neighbor who was married. Yeah, he was funny.
mm,
And then
a
but
different
this
character.
different, completely different character in the show where he's
Mhm.
very um like, mean, and then there's a moment where you
Yeah,
think that he's kind of turned it around and found, is getting married again, and
yeah,
he's, going to become, maybe you're gonna see some closeness. So Garrett then brings Hannah to the house, and they realize that he hasn't changed. He's still
yep,
abusive to the woman, and
yeah,
that was a very, important scene too, I think.
yeah, yeah, I think so too. Yeah, there were a lot of very important, scenes, yeah. We'll touch base on that one in a little bit too, and I also wanna talk about, the sexual assault that she went through and how that was handled in this
Mm,
particular episode, but before we get to that, there were a lot of other characters that they
mhm,
were building, and like you said, they're leading for the next one, and so we also had Allie and Dean, I think.
mhm.
Um, yeah, and so they are kind of like
Ugh, their
I
tension,
was
I
I
loved
know.
it.
So
From the moment he saw her dancing.
in the J.Lo dress on the dance
Yep.
floor? Yes, which
Man,
she
she
was
looked
killing
good.
it. She looked good, and I'm just gonna be like a little bit of a name dropper here, but Mika is her real name.
Yeah.
She actually used to date my nephew, so I have a little claim to
Mm,
fame on that, and, we used to talk about her, like, back she's been in a couple other smaller things, but this has
mhm.
obviously just blown her up, and, I'm super happy for her, and so that was
Well,
really, really cool.
she'll be the main character
Main
for
one
next season.
next season. Yeah, I
Yeah,
just saw
yeah.
that they're gonna be focusing on their relationship, which is great.
Ugh,
She's great in it. I love her hair too. The just that shaggy look is so cute, you
yeah.
know?
It reminds me
Um
of, what's that movie? Not Splash, but, Flashdance.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like Deborah
Yeah.
Beal's hair, like
Yes.
that curly, messy hair, but she's kind of a
Yeah,
messy character, but like a cutesy character, but like grit, and
yeah.
then that tension between them, and then when they did a whole thing on them, I
Oh,
was like,
yeah.
"Oh,
I
oh my
know, because then and
god."
then you felt that building, they're kinda
Yes.
sneaking around. You could see it I mean, a mile away, the one scene when they were sitting in front of the window, I think, and they were, I think she was maybe at his house, and then
Yeah,
they start, and she put her foot up on him, and so and I was like, "Oh, these 2, they've got something amazing here," and
yeah,
and I loved again because he was, the player. He said it himself. He's like, "I don't have any
mhm,
desire to be in a relationship. I just like to hook up with girls all over the place. They come knowing exactly what they're getting from me, which is fun." And so they tried to keep each other at bay, but they were, really playing off each other, which was flirty and fun. And I liked that. And again, they saw something deeper in each other,
mhm, mhm.
which is, I just think that's so cool, when you
But
just
she
feel
wasn't
that.
looking for it. She was
She
also
wasn't.
coming off of a breakup with a
Hmm.
long-term boyfriend who kept telling her, "Oh, you're gonna come back. You break up with me
Yeah.
and then you come back." And this time
Yeah.
it was almost like she was gonna prove it, and then she and I mean, the both of them were just they're so hot.
Oh, it
Actually,
makes more
I don't know if you
sense.
know this, like, it's been all over Instagram. There is I don't know the name of this, like, this audio channel that is using their voices together.
Uh-huh.
They're totally capitalizing on the sexual tension that they had out
Really?
coming off the show, and they both, dictated a book
Oh.
together.
Oh, I did just see something on that today.
Yeah,
I didn't know what it
so
was. Okay.
I'm be interested to but I kinda
See
wanna
if I can.
see them. I don't wanna just hear them, but
Yeah.
it'll be kinda
Ooh,
cool
that's
to see
pretty
what they
neat.
do with them, but yeah,
Okay, I
they're doing
like
a lot
that.
of press.
Yeah. So I was I really liked them. I liked them together. It felt
Mhm.
really authentic between them when they were actually together and they were
Mhm.
recognizing that but trying not to be, and then
Yeah.
cuz they were doing that whole sneaking around thing and didn't want to admit to the feelings and stuff, but yeah, I like seeing them kind of get together. That was super cute. And I want to say, I don't know if it's true or not, that she is actually dating the musician guy, although we can't think of his name, the hot
Mm.
musician in
Now
real
she is,
life.
yeah.
Yeah, in real
Yeah.
life, yeah. Yeah, so which there again, 2 hot people again. Anyway, so I like that couple, and then, I just wanted to mention the one guy, which I wasn't sure where they were going with that. It's Garrett's best friend and the one that he ended up confiding in him about his dad and everything, right? And he was standing by him. Um, Remember when they went through a little phase of him being really into Wellesley? And he kept,
Mhm.
like, they were showing him having these long gazes
Yeah.
at her, and he was kind of, like, asking about
Yeah.
her, and then it just went nowhere. I don't know if that is, like, foreshadowing something down the road
I
or
heard
where.
it's foreshadowing something, but I don't
Oh,
know for a fact. But yeah, it was interesting how he was also very protective, and you could tell he had a little crush on her. In fact, his
yeah.
sister, pointed it out. And then, their relationship was interesting, the sister and because the sister
Mhm.
was one that was documenting
Oh, that's right.
she's a videographer, she goes around videotaping everything. And
Yeah,
that was an interesting dynamic too,
yeah.
those 2.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of really good characters, and I think
Mhm.
there's a lot that they can dive into with each of them. They laid out a lot in the first
They
season,
did.
though, so yeah, right? So they got
I
a
just
lot
hope
to
it
go from
doesn't
there.
jump the shark by second season because I think
Yes.
sometimes it could tend to just be, like, all this hype,
Mhm.
and then second season comes around and you're like, "Mm, meh."
Yeah, I know, or they get too excited because it did really well, and then they
Mhm.
just flop. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't like that too much, yeah.
Whew,
So, okay, now
what
we've
a
got the
show.
whole that's pretty much we
Mhm.
said we weren't doing a recap, but that was the recap of the
The
show, just so
gist.
you're
Yeah.
the gist of it, so
Yeah.
you're fully caught up on that. Um, but I also wanted to touch on we were gonna talk about just the sexual assault. I thought it was very odd that it just happened to be the guy that Garrett was playing against in the hockey game, and then I did recall when Garrett said to her, "Oh, the guy you dated before was played hockey," but she or who you were with before, but she never said it was actually him, I don't think, the guy that assaulted her. So, and he was just bad character. Bad character. But what I did love that I wanted to point out because she was very, traumatized by that
Mhm.
whole thing that happened, and then when everything started to kind of blow up and her and Garrett, I think, had broken up at one point because things were just getting too heavy, and she called her mom crying. Do you remember this part?
Mhm,
And she
mhm.
called her and immediately was like, "I'm so sorry, mom. I screwed up everything.
Yeah.
That the whole thing messed you guys up. You spent so much money for attorneys and you lost everything." And I loved that, and it's giving me a little bit of chills because I love that her mom just said, "What did you do wrong?"
Mm,
She said, "You were 15. You went to a party. You had a drink, and somebody roofied you and assaulted you. What did you do wrong?"
right.
And it was the way it was handled with such grace, and there wasn't
Mhm.
any blame, and it wasn't a whole big dialogue of, what she could have done differently.
Yeah.
It was just one simple question, "What did you do wrong?" What did you think about that scene?
It was powerful. I think
Yeah.
it's an important subject, and it's something I talk to my boys about, even just I mean, they could be roofied too, right? Like,
Yeah.
anyone can be roofied, but, just the idea of, never leave a drink unattended, always
Mhm,
put your hand
mhm.
on it.
Yeah.
Don't
And they
take
actually
anything.
make a lot of things for that now. You can get, like, little
Mhm,
scrunchies that go over it, little
mhm.
thing that has a hole for your straw, so just yeah, definitely wanna be careful about that. Mhm.
Yeah. So I think
Yeah.
I think it's an important subject to bring up, and I think sexual assault is not uncommon. And so it's important that we normalize it, not normalize that it's done, but normalize that we talk about it, right? Because before it would be
Yeah,
more, you'd hide it. There's more shame attached to it,
very
and
much.
to give permission to, especially as a parent, to give permission to, or to remind your child, hey, you didn't do anything wrong. It's not a you
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
And that could be so freeing to anyone,
Mhm.
right? To be told that you did nothing wrong could
Yeah.
really release a lot of shame that you hold on
Mhm,
to with an assault.
mhm,
It's a very delicate subject,
mhm,
um, that I think takes. I've had a lot of um, clients that have come to me with sexual assault stories, and it
mhm.
is a very delicate, it's so layered. There's so much, there's betrayal, there's just so much that's layered within the experience of it, and then even worse, the meaning that you give it, and then even worse, what remains with you around
Mm,
that. And so learning
yeah.
how to compartmentalize it differently in your body can really
Mhm.
support you in talking about it, can support you in freeing yourself of the shame,
Yeah.
and also helping others who might, you know, what can you use with that to teach others not to do or to do in those circumstances?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think those conversations are still very important to be
Mm-hmm.
had, and just understanding, also you got to be real careful when you're going to parties and, like you said, covering your drinks, but also looking out for your friends, making sure,
Yes.
yeah, just being a little bit more protective of everybody and aware, and make sure you're staying in your right frame of mind. Obviously, that wasn't her fault that she wasn't, but really, being cautious, which she
Yeah.
did, which she then when she started going to parties, she was like, "I'm not really drinking," and I love that, Garrett brought over, like, a canned beer for her, and just said, "Here, just if you want this to feel safer," and I think that kind of started the road of her feeling like, "Oh, this guy gets me,"
Mm-hmm.
which
Mm-hmm.
was really cool. So, I think the show handled that topic very responsibly. I
Yeah,
think
but
they did.
then she comes face to face with him.
That's right. That's
Mm-hmm.
right, which was
Mm-hmm.
crazy, and after, Garrett picks up because then Garrett's playing hockey, just so I'll
Mm-hmm.
explain this, and he's playing this other rivalry team that they have been going against for many years, and Garrett doesn't realize that the captain or the leader of that team is the guy that actually assaulted her, and you know, it came to me when I was like, "Oh, that's right. She said he was a hockey player."
Mm-hmm.
And so, she was afraid to kinda go to the games. I don't think she knew, if I'm not mistaken, she didn't know until she got there and saw him? Or did she already? Because she was staying away for a while. Did she know before? I don't remember that.
I don't remember at what point she realized that that was the guy. I think, like, first she thought it was, and then it was confirmed for her, and then something happened with Garrett and him, right?
Yes. Well, the other
at the end.
guy, was being very aggressive and just
Mhm,
kinda had it in for Garrett without even knowing that he was actually with Wellesley, because he
mm.
didn't see that until the end. So I wasn't really sure what was going on there, why he was so angry at Garrett. Was it just that they were, like, top teams going head to head, and so he was trying to
Oh, right,
show
he's a
him up?
hockey player, that's right.
Yeah, and they kept, like, kinda beating each other, he was,
Mhm,
like, remember really pushing him, and they were like, "Garrett, get your head in the game," and stuff, you know?
that's right.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, once, the guy saw Garrett kissing Wellesley, and then it all came, he was like, "Oh," and he basically called her a slut, right? And that just set Garrett off, and then
Right.
Garrett went to town on beating his ass.
Yes, he did, as
Yes, he
anyone.
did.
So, so here's an interesting thing, right? So
Yeah.
he does that, and
Mhm.
she gets upset with him, and I think she breaks up with him, no?
Yes, she does, and that's when
Mhm,
she goes crying, and then she calls her mom because everything is just falling apart, I think.
mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, so it caused
How would you
a
feel
lot of
how
issues.
would you feel? I'm curious because I think this brings us to what we talked about with, um, Age of Attraction,
Mhm.
where one of the guys stepped in front of was protecting
Oh, yeah.
Vanell.
Yes.
Remember? Jorge was
Jorge.
protecting Vanell,
Yeah.
and, like, how would you feel if somebody,
That's a hard one
Mhm.
because, and I'm saying that because watching it, I was like, you know, the guy had it coming for sure without
Oh my
even
god.
knowing what he did, right? Without even
Yeah.
knowing. And then the fact that he not only did what he did to her, but then had the audacity to call her a slut to the guy that he knows is with her, just
Mhm.
egging him on even more. He had it coming. And so I don't blame him for doing that. I think it was extremely aggressive. I mean, he beat the shit out of him. I mean, you
Yeah.
saw when he came out, there was like blood everywhere all over his thing. Um, I'm not a huge violence girl. I don't like fighting. I don't know
Mhm.
how I'd feel watching that. I like to be protected, though, so there's that fine line. I think there's other ways that it could have been handled a little bit than the actual fighting, and I think Wellesley agreed with me because she got all upset, like, she was, even though she knew he deserved it and he had done this to her, it scared her seeing Garrett the way he was,
Mhm.
right? Because that brought out a very violent side of him.
Right,
That's what you gotta watch for.
which is what his dad was all about, right? Violence and such,
Yeah,
so it was kind of probably was like, "Wait a minute,
and she
this
knew
is
that.
gonna turn into
Mhm.
his dad," and then also, I think she was also protective of his future because he would worked so hard
Mhm.
to have a career in hockey. For him to blow this up because he couldn't control his anger, I think
Yeah,
made her feel unsafe, and I think that's what, caused her to break up with him. But
yeah.
then what happened? Do we remember?
Then,
I feel like I have to rewatch the show.
yeah, I know. I'm like, tell me, do you remember? Or
No,
you're
I think
asking me because
I
you
think
don't?
they
Oh.
got I think they get back together now.
They do. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
they
okay,
do.
okay, okay, okay,
Well,
okay, okay.
yeah, they do because then he does get suspended, and he loses time. And of course, then they start digging into everything else he was doing, and he was like a college student that played with a professional team on the off season, but that didn't
Oh,
matter
then he got in
because you
trouble.
can't legally do that. So he got in trouble and he got suspended for games or pulled from it. And I think the accumulation of all of that together, and
Mhm,
he was holding so much inside because he didn't talk to anybody but Wellesley about his dad, not even his best friend that
mhm.
knew his dad and everything. And so I think at that point, he just burst and he's like, I gotta talk to somebody. And I think that's a really huge topic too, is just keeping it inside is never gonna get it healed. It's never gonna allow you to move on from it. And
Mhm.
it's just gonna keep rearing its ugly head every time something comes up that triggers it. And so I think you have to talk to somebody, whether it is a friend or a parent or a therapist or somebody just random.
Yeah,
And so he was finally able to have that conversation with his best friend, which just released so much for him and allowed his friend to understand too of where he was coming from and why
yeah.
he was acting the way he was. And so that opened up just a whole another, level of trust with everybody, which was great. And then he had to, he let him become captain of the team and stuff. And so
Oh, that was so cute.
yeah, that was really cute. And it was like a really good and I liked I look for the little things often, like when he was talking to the friend in the kitchen, and I remember the he was, like, doing the dishes or something, and when he kind of said, "I need to talk," and I loved that the friend I can't remember his name either, but he but he stopped doing the dishes and walked over and just leaned
Was
down
present.
on the
Yeah.
counter and was present and was like, "I'm here. Tell me,
Mm,
talk to me." It wasn't like, "I'm over here do" "Yeah, what?" You know what I mean? We're so preoccupied with everything else, and I just love that they gave that moment to what
mhm.
needed a moment and allowed him to feel safe to talk to him about it. So I thought
Yeah.
that was really well done. I like that part too. Yeah. Anything more to say
Show
on that?
vulnerability with men.
Oh, I
Yes.
know. Yeah, not only are they
Especially
hot, but
especially, macho guys, right? Like, to for them to be
mhm.
vulnerable, there is that contrast between the strong male figure and, athlete, and then the vulnerability. There's something really beautiful there, and I think that we need to show more of this example to other young men, because I think
Mhm.
they often tend to lack that. I don't think that there's a lot of permission given to still to be vulnerable. I
Yeah.
think it's got kind of gone to the other side where they're overly sensitive about things, and so
Mhm.
they succumb to emotion. They don't know how to handle it, so they tune out, they check out, they numb out. But to have a friendship where someone is like, "Yeah, man, I'm here. I got you."
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
very
That's cool.
mature, and you don't see that often. So I
Mm-mm.
really, as a practitioner that works with
Mhm.
people, to me, that was like, "Oh, chef's
Yes.
kiss. Chef's kiss."
Chef's
I
kiss.
approve. I approve.
Yes. Yes. Very, very good.
Yeah.
And then,
Guess it
yeah,
takes a while.
it does, it does. It takes a while to build
Mhm.
that and to trust somebody enough to talk to them about it, but the friend was also persistent in saying, "Hey, man, like, talk to me, talk to me, talk to me," you know? And so I think that's really great if you're kind of recognizing or seeing somebody really struggling to put them at ease and let them know, "Hey, I'm here if you need to talk," instead of them having to come to you, just give them that space to do that. I thought that was really cool that he did that.
Good
Yeah.
guys.
Good guys,
And I
yeah.
cannot wait till next season. I'm
I
waiting. I'm like,
know, it's
how
gonna be
long are we
good.
gonna
Well,
have
they
to wait?"
I know, you have to. It's probably gonna be a while, I would guess. But,
Ugh,
just to let everybody know how it ended, because we have to totally spoil the whole show, not just part of it. Um, he
spoil it away.
basically spoil away. Um, yeah, she started writing, and, that was a big
Yeah.
thing. Remember that he kind of said somebody said to her, "It's not about the music, it's about the lyrics and the lyrics being real, like truly from you, because she was trying to get help from the cute guy that she was originally in love with, and those were more it was him. It was his lyrics, it was his vibe, and, he
Mhm.
kinda took that song and ran with it, and she couldn't ever fully connect to it.
Yeah.
And then when she really sat down and just wrote, like, from her heart and what she was really feeling and how really, I mean, it was about how Garrett had kind of really changed things, and then finally, somebody saw her, and then she performed it, and then they all showed up, which was great. Her friends were all there to cheer her on, that always perfect that they got front row seating. I
Yeah.
mean,
And by the
where
way, she's actually a singer, so that was cool to see,
oh,
and one of the other characters, so the friend that you're talking about, the nice guy,
mhm.
he's a Broadway star, so he's a singer as
Oh,
well. So it's kinda cool
interesting.
to it was kinda cool to well, yeah, I have to stalk every one of them
Yeah,
afterward.
you did. Why
Yeah,
yeah,
so
I
it
wonder
was
if
her
they'll bring
singing
that.
the song.
Ah, that's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah,
I
it's
wonder
really
I
cool.
always wondered that actually, if it's yeah, and how cool that is for them to get to, utilize that in the show. That's just another level that she's gonna go to from that, and I wonder if they'll do the same with him later,
Mhm.
if they'll bring out that side of it. I don't know why it just came to me, but they're pretty far apart in age. I don't know if you know that Garrett and Wellesley. She's
You
only
mean in real
19.
life?
Yeah,
In real
she's only
life?
19.
What?
Yeah.
I did
Yeah,
not
and
know that.
he's quite a bit older. I don't know his age. I should have probably looked that up first, but, yeah, and he has a girlfriend.
Interesting.
Yeah, he's had, like, a girlfriend for quite a while, and so I was kind of reading about the dynamic, what that's like for the girlfriend watching their connection. I think they had a great chemistry on the
They
show.
did.
I don't Yeah, they did. I don't know that off screen I would be like, "Oh, yeah, I could totally see them together." I felt like maybe they were more it was like a great friendship off screen,
Mhm.
maybe, yeah, but I thought it was pretty cool to see that. Yeah, she's only 19.
I did
19.
not know that. Baby.
Mhm,
A
just a baby.
baby.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so they end up,
cool.
yeah, getting back together in the end, which is great, and that they kind of closed out, like, everything was resolved. So I was, like, wondering, where are they
There
gonna
was no
go with this?
cliffhanger.
There was no
Yeah.
cliffhanger.
So, which is
That's
fine because
unusual.
it kind of completed that storyline, and I think that,
Mhm.
again, they set up enough tension with the other characters for us to now go probably into this next season with more focus on the other characters, which I'm excited
Yeah.
about. I'm
Yeah.
curious to see what they're gonna do, and again, I haven't read the books. I mean, they're adapting so many books now into screenplays. I often just would rather have not read it because I think oftentimes you're disappointed at what you see on
Quite
screen.
often.
Because the books can take their time to develop a character and you kind of get connected to
Yes.
it differently and you've got your own
And you're
imagination,
Yes.
right? So like the show kind of like speeds a lot of it up and kind of gets you into like it kind of gives their perspective.
Yeah. Good point. I think I would rather do it the other way around, like, watch
Right.
the shows and then go read the book.
So I'm hoping that they're gonna just give us really great character arches and involved in
Yeah.
different storylines and please more sex. Why not? Make it sexy and hot.
I know, we wanna see that part for sure. I was just thinking of
Yeah.
that, wondering what they're gonna do with Allie and Dean for next season, if they're gonna try now to go deep with some stories again, just to build their character.
Yes,
But
please.
I also but you also don't want it to be like, "Oh, okay, oh, so now she's, like, been through, like, some traumatic medical condition or something," and that you're like, "What? All these people?" I still want it to seem real and believable, but and as much as I wanna see the steamy sex scenes, them together, I don't want it just to be about that. So, it's gonna be interesting to see what take they put on it and if they kind
Mhm,
of are able to balance that out a
mhm.
little bit more. So, mm, interesting. Well, anything more for you to say on that one? Why do we go back to the question of why this is so talked about and such a binge-worthy show right now? No. I mean, we just told you.
Uh, yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, right?
yeah,
And
totally.
is there something in that with it being a college romance that captures you because it's like this young love? Does it remind you of you at all? I was trying to get into that feeling and thinking, do I wish I was involved with something like that when I was younger? God, in that age though, I mean, that's the big difference in generations. I was nothing like that in when
No,
I
I
was
was
that
not.
age.
No, I was
No
not. I was a
way.
prude. I was
Yeah.
too shy. That does not remind me of me when I was younger. It reminded me of all the romance novels I read when I was
Yes.
younger. Um,
Yeah.
but that was not me.
Yeah. Huh.
But it's fun.
Go watch it and see it for yourself because there's a lot. There's a
So
lot in that one. So it's a very, very good show to go watch. And I think the acting was really great too. I thought they were
mhm,
very believable and easy and I like that. So,
mhm.
well, Ozzy, I
Andrea.
think I think that proves that a little show about college students having sex can give grown-ups a lot to talk about.
You mean
Right?
grown up women in
Grown-up
midlife,
women. Yeah, I don't know that the men are
single
talking
women
about
in
this
real
one.
life.
But yeah, we're living
Yeah,
vicariously through them.
yeah, yeah.
That's funny. That is funny. Well, thanks for hanging out with me today and
Thanks for
totally
having me.
unpacking that. Absolutely. And the listeners as well. Thanks for joining us and hopefully you got what you wanted out of this. Like I said, go check it out for yourself if you haven't. If you have already watched it and you want to tell us your thoughts on more of that, we would love to hear from
Mhm.
you. Tell us something that you think about, what was right about this show with modern relationships or how things were handled. Also, full video of us oogling and drooling over it is going to be fully up on YouTube for you guys to watch it from Mrs. to Ms. So, all right, that's all I got for this week. Thank you, Ozzy, for joining me. I love having you, my girl.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Thank
Have a
you.
good
All
day.
right. Bye, peeps.